Welcome to another ION Ask Me Anything. This is, I don't know how much we're up to. Before 2022, we just had a flurry. And now we're getting into a little more video format, maybe even a podcasty type format. But we've got so much news, and it's just, we're trying to find many ways to tell you what's going on. And this seems to be pretty good. Plus, we have a very special new team member to introduce to you. So I'm Mike, I'm a lead architect. I have Sim, who's CTO of ION, on the line. And I'd like to introduce you, Philip Beadle. Welcome, Phil, our lead developer. So if you are in the Holochain circle, you are well familiar with Phil. He is a main man. He was a core developer in the early years. Just a bit of trivia, he's my very first experience with Holochain. In June of 2018, I went to a meeting which was, if you know Melbourne, Collingwood, which is just a suburb east of the city central. And there was Phil, David Meister, and Willem Olding. And I sat next to Phil, and he was telling me things things like, you don't need consensus. You don't need this, you don't need that. And for the 3 years before that, Sim and I had been heavily in blockchain. And it occurred to me, I have to unlearn some things to understand Holochain. So that's been an experience. And I think the next was the very first dev camp from Holochain in October of 2018. And afterwards, I asked Phil, can this be headless? He said, sure. And the rest is history. So here we are with ION. And yeah, really excited to have you, Phil. Amazing. Phil took a bit of time off last year, and he's back. And you'll find an article in our Medium page which says the stars have aligned, and I truly believe something happened because it's all come together. Yeah, do you want to say a few words, Phil?
Yeah, well, yeah, thanks for that welcome. Yeah, the stars aligning thing is kind of fun because what happened was I got solar finally installed on my new house, and it had just started running, and I was looking at the app and I was going, oh, this is really cool. It's this Tesla battery wall app, shows you all the power and all that kind of stuff. And I immediately thought of you guys, and I was like, I wonder what RedGrid's up to. So I went and had a look at your website, which had been updated, and it was super cool now and like much more inspiring. And I was really impressed by it. So I contacted you guys again and, scouted to see, were you interested in working together? Because I was. And you guys had just happened to have updated the website that day, I think, or the day before maybe, and had decided that you were going to try and get someone to come and help you. And yeah, here we are. Again.
Yep. And I think we'll get into the next section, which is a bit about the protocol. And you mentioned RedGrid, which is one of our service providers. So we are also ION, and that's the global play. And so let's talk a bit about the protocol. I'll pass this off to Sim and what's in the works for the protocol. Before I do that, I'll just explain really quickly that, and this is actually one of the questions we have later, so there's a two-tiered thing going on. We've got a blockchain at the top, and we're using Holochain for the communities down below. So we can talk a bit about that, but Sim, do you want to give us any updates on what's happening on that front?
Yeah, I think I'll pass it to Phil after I go through a few things, but I guess, yeah, we're really pushing ahead with the protocol build, and getting that into everyone in the community's hands is pretty exciting development. I think I was banging on about that last week as well, just how exciting that is. I think that'll be a real event for us, and I guess the protocol in its essence is a bit of a combination of pretty much the work that we've been doing over the last sort of couple of years in a few of our big projects, and one with a big university as well. We've sort of brought all those learnings together, and in particular, yeah, again, the universes aligning thing, a lot of the concepts and various things that we were talking about when we originally started talking with Phil, sort of bringing them to life now. And Holochain is definitely ready. Like it's the platform and the protocol is so performant now and really coming to maturity. So it's just perfect timing for that, for us to release that platform. I guess the idea of it is to provide a workable platform that you can play with and imagine different applications, and really just spark people's creativity, I guess, is the core goal. Provide a canvas for people to create art on top of. So that's the goal. But maybe Phil, want to go into some of the details, if that's okay.
Yeah. So what we did over the last couple of weeks was, analyze what had been done before, what we're trying to do, and then these new rise of these new community battery projects that are happening all across Australia. I think there's 250 of them, you said. And the idea that we're having like a local battery could be a holochain network that we're going to run this ION Tech platform on. And essentially the platform allows you to register as a producer or a consumer and sell directly or buy directly from your different people in this community. And that's going to be the first draft of what we're going to release to the public. And it demonstrates how consumers and producers would negotiate a supply agreement for power. And then as the power is supplied, it can be quality managed and assigned to a bill for each month as well. So you get this whole idea of an actual live trading network of local solar producers and consumers. And I hope to get this working very soon, because I have a giant solar array on my roof, 12.5 kilowatts, I think it is. So yeah, I'd like to be flogging that, some of that. Neighbors.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, so that's the thing is we've got the ability to do micro payments, micro trading, and there's all these new applications coming out. You mentioned community batteries. It's absolutely perfect for that. And there's a gap because some people are trying to do it the old way. Some people are trying to apply blockchain, but it has to be very responsive and at the level down. What Phil's been working on, we have a number of repos that are in GitHub, which are not public yet. It's just switching to that, and we'll talk a bit about that soon. In terms of also, there's community batteries. So what you can see we're doing is we're starting to build up some use cases that we'll be able to share, and then you at home can simulate, or if you have solar panels, you can actually use. There's also electric vehicles that are fascinating because they are also a battery. So they can be used to feed in, but of course you can also charge your EV, and that whole market's exploding. Yeah, there's just so much happening. In terms of the repositories, so Phil looked at what we did with the university project and reimagined it with the latest in holochain, because holochain is now up to, I think it's one release a week. Like, they're just pushing straight ahead, and they're heading for beta. If you have a HoloPort, which is a little device that does their replacement for cloud computing, then it's all pretty exciting, because the numbers they're reaching are rivaling. I think 2 weeks ago, I talked about Sim's goal of beating Visa in terms of transaction rates. Well, it's up to that now, I think. So it's all really exciting. And yeah, here we are. I just want to go into a bit about the community, because this is how it's all going to really become successful, is if everyone can contribute to a base that we provide. And I believe holochain as really a good model for us to base it on. So we're looking at building a website called developer.ion.tech. That's in the process of being done right now. We do have a Discord channel, and we'll probably mention a few times in this call. Please come find us and join us and start talking to us. And tomorrow we're going to start our kickoff of our very first dev camp planning. So again, mimicking what holochain has done. I mentioned at the start of the call that in 2018, I talked to Phil on dev camp. I think there was 12 people on the call. Their last one, they had over 1,500 developers. This was late last year. And they use things like a game. So everyone builds a game, which is a really great way to understand the concept. So tomorrow we'll start thinking about it. Stay tuned as to when that'll pop up. And yeah, just join us on Discord. Okay, I think we'll talk a bit about so what's happening, and again, we'll stay tuned as to the details, but we're taking what we did at the university project and we're adapting it with their blessing, which is pretty amazing. So they'll actually be involved in that. Sim, can you talk a bit about the transactive energy model, which is the TEM as it was, and what our role was there and how that fits going forward into what we're doing?
Yeah, so I guess the model is to the sort of catchphrase was that any actor in the electricity system can become an economic actor in that grid. So they can bid for supply and demand of energy at certain prices and sort of express their desires through where they bid and where they purchase that energy from. The idea being that you can create this dynamic system where energy is procured locally and more cheaply and renewably first, and then before it goes off grid. So that was the sort of concept of the transactive energy market, they called it. I think where we've taken it and where you say, Phil, sort of reimagined it, and we've spent some time talking about this, is taking it to the next level and employing some of the benefits of the agent-based approach, so that basically the same model, but any actor in this system can create a market or participate and subscribe in a market or multiple markets at once. So that really provides like a granular approach for energy efficiency and how and where you spend and procure energy. So that's the evolution, I guess. With the university in particular, we've really built that relationship. Like that project, I think, began like a couple of years ago, I believe, and we still have a really close relationship. So not only from the technology project, but also with the actual students and researchers and the organization as well. So that's a really big thing for us as well with the protocol launch, is introducing it to that group and getting their assistance to develop it further and use it in their innovation as well. So we're really pushing hard on that angle as well, and that'll be something you'll notice when after we do the release as well.
That's a really good point. That's a very good point. That I mean, what we want is community, and we've got this ready-made set from the university. We're also looking at high schools, and I was fortunate enough to be on a judge on a Shark Tank for Year 9 students, and it just blew me away how far they've gotten. If they weren't still in school, I would have offered them a job. It was just amazing where they're up to. Okay, so moving right along. So what we're going to do is, as we do each time now, is we take questions from the community, and the first one up is from Daydriana 8, and her question, or he, is the main focus of any crypto community is the price of the token. When prices go up, people are happy. When they go down, well, they should actually buy more. What are your team's plans to strengthen and grow a community loyal to your project? So there's two aspects to what she's asking. One is about the token price, and the other is to grow a community. And again, we're following the lead of Holochain. If you are in that community, you have incredibly passionate, loyal people that have been around for a few years and truly believe in what they're doing. And we also have that as well. We've had people that have been with us since the beginning that are following us. In terms of the price, it's really about the volume, and we've got a dedicated resource to look at that. And really, volume means interest, and then the price will follow. So we're not here for the short term, we're here for the long term, and we've always stated that. So any other thoughts, guys, you want to mention on that? Bill?
Yeah, so people often ask me, what crypto should I invest in, Phil? And I'm like, I have absolutely no idea. I just bought a whole load of hot and I'm done. So I don't follow it at all or anything like that. So, but same sort of way that Holo is coming along, and that Holo hasn't been around, telling people about itself too much, to just been building the product and all that kind of stuff and actually making it work. And then it has an intrinsic value. So it's the same with the currency we're building here. So this whole microtransaction, solar economy, it's just going to be, this is the only reason I'm back at work, by the way, is to build this.
Fantastic. One thing I should mention is, you'll find that if you look in the last few weeks, we said we're releasing protocol 0.1, and it was actually going to be what we did for the university, which was just read and write. So it was pretty basic. And then Phil spotted that what we're doing is very close to what Holo and Holochain are doing. And if you map it back to what we said in our roadmap, it goes all the way up to what we call the micro DAO, which is on the edge of the Holochain blockchain area. So if you know your Holochain code, there's DNA, and that all the rules of the game for your local microgrid are enclosed in that. And that's all been done by Holochain. So that's why it's really exciting. I think we've gained a few months in terms of where we are if we adopt that. So yeah, pretty stoked on that. Okay, which kind of leads to the next question, which is from Ampersand Holochain NL fan. Why did ION choose Holochain? I think you've heard a bit of that. You'll find that if you go to our socials, I and others have said there's like a few reasons. One is we truly believe in their technology. There's the technology itself is now becoming mature. The agent-based architecture, which Sim and I riff on for hours about biomimicry and ants and bees, I find that fascinating, and I think that's the right way to go. And third, the loyalty in the community, and people are here not to do a quick flip on the token. They actually do want to change the world and make it a better place. Sim, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I think like the one that's really interesting to me is in the local context of energy. Like, as you said, I think at the start of the call, Mike, we were sort of mucking around in came originally from the like global consensus blockchain type space and traditional client server architecture sort of direction. And there's a lot of power in sort of decentralized technology, but it's just a square peg in a round hole for a local grid context, which is so dynamic and changing, and it really needs to be truly distributed as an architecture. And certainly I haven't found any other solution that sort of mirrors the way that the actual grid work, which is exactly like an organism, right? Like it is an organism, the grids of today. There's things coming in and out, and they're changing every day. So it just maps perfectly to the problem we're trying to solve. So I think that's like a really important thing. And then second, you add on top of that the community as well, and that just focus on building rather than the noise and nonsense that goes around crypto sometimes. It's a real focus on just creating value, which is, yeah, you don't get that in many communities, I don't feel.
Yeah, I just read Arthur's 3-part series on peer-to-peer communication just last week. Fantastically inspiring stuff. The thing I really liked about it was when he said that true unenclosable communication enables things like language, where I can make up a word and start using that word to say it describes something. And if enough people start picking up that word, then it becomes a real thing, right? That's the level of agent-based control that people have, because it is literally language, right? Because the way that I'm going to get involved with my solar power grid and the local battery and the local community is I'm probably going to have to talk to people. And then in that negotiation process, we could then initialize a new DHT with the rules for that community battery.
So what Phil's talking about is there's a 3-part series. If you go to the blog.holochain.org, Arthur Brock wrote this a few years ago, but it's been updated, and just search for the words unenclosable carriers. And I think one of the premises is that if it's unenclosable, it cannot be centralized. It must be distributed, which is a pretty interesting concept. Okay, one more question. So this one is from Miss Bad Luck Zero. I hope you're doing better. It says, hi, well, NFTs are in fashion now. Do you have any idea to have NFTs on your platform? And if so, can you tell us ION plans at NFTs? Mr. Wilson, can you give us a bit of a clue there?
Yeah, we've been thinking a lot about this space, actually. They're pretty hot to trot NFTs, obviously. Maybe not so much this week.
Can I ask a question about this? Because, like I said, I have no idea what to invest in crypto, and I've got a vague idea what an NFT is, right? But it occurred to me the other day that, like, the title to my house would be a pretty cool NFT, right?
Yep.
Because there's only one copy of it, and who owns it? That's it, right?
If you go back
for certificates and like supply certificates, and in the context of electricity, here's the supply agreement. It's an NFT.
Exactly. Just going back in history. So 2017, maybe 2016, ERC 721 came out, which is all about non-fungible tokens, it is one. And the commercial cases are that, and also provenance. So here in Australia, we make wine. We want to make sure that everyone knows it's Australian wine and not from somewhere else. So that is a guarantee of authenticity that can be tied to a physical asset. What's happened in recent times, Phil, because you've been out of the loop, is that NFTs have become kind of Pikachu collect them all type things, which is kind of interesting. It'll come back to it'll come back to real world cases. And so what we're planning to do, Sim will elaborate a bit, is that we've got this really interesting idea with NFTs and the microgrids that we're rolling out around the world. So yeah, over to you, Sim.
Yeah, I was just going to jump in on the land title stuff, Phil. Like one of the very first projects when we first started in the Red Grid stuff with Soulshare in Bangladesh, we did an actual NFT gig on Ethereum, which was around land titles, because like about 70% of their legal cases over there are disputes over who owns land. So we're looking at actually that exact use case for we did some consulting on that, but that was interesting. But like on the energy side, on the ION side, we've got a really interesting initiative going on at the moment with the that we've done a prototype with which is you stake some tokens, and those tokens earn a yield, and the staker gets an NFT around the actual grid that they've staked those tokens, and then that grid who is providing the NFT gets a royalty whenever that NFT is traded, and they also get some of the yield as well straight to the mini grid. So we've got a campaign going which is actually supporting a refugee camp in a microgrid in a refugee camp called Mahama in Rwanda at the moment. So this is a really interesting area because NFTs are the hot thing at the moment, but they actually kind of represent the micro DAO that we're building in the ION protocol as well. So it's a good way to test and start developing some of those protocol features in this initiative. But yeah, we're looking to extend that initiative because it's been very successful, and I think there's about probably 40K US that'll be going to this Rwanda microgrid as a function of our this staking initiative. So I'm pretty proud of that, actually.
Excellent.
And I've seen the early versions, which I imagine will continue. Is the actual NFT is a 3D grid of the camp, and you can rotate it around, and yeah, it's just cool. But the main thing is it's a funding mechanism in a couple of directions, mainly to where it's needed, which is the camp, and rewarding whoever wants to get involved. So it is the start of above the micro DAO. Yeah, sorry, Sim.
I think the other, like, there's a real applicability for like energy energy inclusion for the SNFT type stuff, because there's so many stories. Like, one of the extensions of the NFT campaign we're doing is talking about an NFT about rickshaw drivers in Bangladesh. There's a story about a rickshaw driver who lost his leg, and basically couldn't run the rickshaw anymore. Lost his job as well as a consequence of that. So that they raised funding for him to purchase an electrified rickshaw, which not only got some like got him back into employment, you know. So there's all these stories about using energy in an interesting way, and NFTs are an important part of that. So yeah, it's an interesting area, and we're working on it.
Yeah, very good. Okay, we're almost out of time. So just a reminder, please come to our Discord channel, join up. You'll find a few channels that are starting. There'll be many more as we go. We'll talk a little bit more about the Dev Camp as it arrives. Stay tuned to find the ION Tech GitHub repositories, plural, that'll happen over time. And hodl, buy some ION tokens, because I hope you're finding value in these sessions, and we certainly are still here believing in what we do. And yeah, this is what we are here for. So thanks very much, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Sim.
See you later.
Thanks, guys.